Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. For today's video I decided to do a little April reading wrap up. Let's start off with the very first book that I read in April, which was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. So I actually read this in my swapping my phone screen time for reading video, so if you haven't watched that, definitely check that out. So this book is basically about a woman named B, and she gets to work on a project with like NASA or something, and they're making a really crazy like spacesuit. And the other scientist that is like the co-lead, like they're co-leading the project, is, I forgot his name, Levi, I don't know how his name is pronounced. And they are basically like academic enemies, I guess you could say, but then of course they end up getting closer. And I really loved the main character. I think she was such a fun character. She was kind of quirky, I would say, but in like a good way. And yeah, I also really loved the dynamic between the two main characters. I think it was very fun to read about, and I was like giggling and swooning. It was a very fun book to read, so I would 100% recommend this one. Then the next book that I read was Der traurigste Himmel auf Erden by Malte Zierden. That, loosely translated to English, basically means The Saddest Heaven on Earth. And it is a book that an influencer wrote who is very big on like helping animals. And he gets animals, or especially like dogs and cats and stuff like that, from like those problematic places. And I've been following him on Instagram for quite a while, and I really like what he's doing. And so I thought I should give his book a try, and it was really good. It was really like interesting to read about and very inspiring kind of, because it just shows his journey of becoming the person he is basically, and why he cares so much about all of the animals that he saves and why that is like his #1 priority. And yeah, I really enjoyed reading this one. If you can read German, I would definitely recommend it. It was very fun to read, and there were also some very cute pictures of him with his dog, so yeah. What else do you want, you know, other than cute little dogs? And then I read Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake, which is the first book in the like Bright Fall series, which is like an interconnected standalone series. And this first book is about Delilah, obviously. And she is from this little place called Bright Falls, but she moved to New York City when she was 18. And then her stepsister's wedding is coming up, and she's a photographer, so her sister hired her to photograph at her wedding and all of the like wedding events. And then Delilah and one of her stepsister's best friends end up growing closer. And I really loved this one. It was not just like pure romancy stuff, it was also just like the whole wedding stuff going on, which was a really fun setting in my opinion, and also like way deeper levels. Like Delilah and her stepsister have a pretty rocky relationship, to put it lightly, that also explored that a little more, which was very fun to read about. And I think it was very good that those characters weren't just basic characters, they were like, they felt very real, so I really liked that. And after that I got into a bit of a reading slump, which is not so nice, but hey, it's fine. I started reading A Curse for True Love. I read like the first 30 pages of this book, and I realized that I wasn't in the mood for a fantasy at the moment, so I put this one down again, but I didn't really DNF it. I just paused it, I would say, because I definitely want to continue reading this series and finish this series, but I just wasn't in the mood for a fantasy when I picked this up, so this is going back on my TBR shelf. And I just realized that I actually read another book, but I don't have the physical copy because I read it on my Kindle. So I actually did read one more book, because I read the second book of this little like Bright Fall series, which was Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, and I actually ordered it on Amazon for like $5 I think, because it was like already used, because I really want to have it. Which I usually don't do for books I read on my Kindle, but I just wanted to have this series because I fell in love with a little like small town vibes, so I thought buying it secondhand might be a better option. But yeah, that book deals with Delilah's stepsister Astrid. So talking about what the book is about would spoil the first book quite a lot, so I'm not going to go into that too deep, but I'm still going to kind of try to explain what it is about. So Astrid gets this really amazing opportunity to be the designer of an inn that is like in Bright Falls, the small town where she lives. The whole renovation of the inn is going to be part of a like TV show, I guess. And yeah, you basically just follow her on that journey of that designing job, and she meets new characters and yeah, stuff happens, which is very fun. I'm trying really hard not to give any hints of what the first book left off of, because then, you know, it will spoil it, so. But yeah, I really love that one as well. I think the whole small town setting is so fun, and I also loved seeing some of the characters from the first book, the second book, and knowing that there is a third book, which I am hopefully going to read at some point in the future, because I really want to. So yeah, that was all that I pretty much read in April, but I also started reading another book, but I didn't finish it. I'm still not finished with it, and it's like the 4th of May now, but hey, I was still not really in the mood to read that much, so I started reading Die Ratten bei Gerhard Hauptmann, which I think I started reading in last week's video actually. But yeah, I have to read this for my German course, of course, because my German teacher loves to read all kinds of crazy books with us, so I'm stuck reading this one. But it's fine. It's kind of, I still don't really know what it's about, to be quite honest. It's like this woman bought the child of another woman because she, like, the man who impregnated her kind of left her, and the other woman who bought the child, like, what the heck, she like lost her child a while ago and she still wants to have a child with her husband. It's kind of crazy. And then there's also this like theater guy. I'm honestly still kind of confused about what is going on, and now they're like trying to figure out what happened with the child, because the other woman whose child it actually is was like, yeah, no, that's my child, and everybody's freaking out and nothing makes sense. But I'm getting through it. I have a few pages left, but yeah, I started reading that in April as well. Still reading that, very interested to see where this is going, but definitely not going to be a high rating, because I feel like if you have to read a book for school, there's always a like undertone of no motivation towards the book. So yeah, and I would have never in my life dreamed about picking this book up and reading it, so that's also, yeah, another aspect of that. But I mean, it's still interesting to read about, kind of, so I'm interested to see where that is going, but you will hear about that in next month's wrap-up, because this was everything I read in April. I think it was a fun stack of books. Also, all of the books next to each other look really pretty because it's like, I don't know, the colors just vibe. So yeah, I really liked April as a month of reading. I read a bunch of really good books. Also was in a little bit of a reading slump, which is not the most fun, but it's fine. So hopefully May will be a better reading month. I think May will really kick off after I finish reading this one. I have a fun video planned that I'll hopefully film and then upload next week, but I guess you'll just have to stick around for that. I would usually give you my like May TBR, but I actually have no clue what I'm in the mood for, so I'll just figure that out throughout the month, and then you'll have to see in the next wrap-up. If you enjoyed this little reading wrap-up of April, maybe like, comment, or subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you've read any of these books, or if you have any book recommendations, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll get around to reading them at some point. So yeah, I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye!